Welcome to I Bought Toys Today. I'm John,
I'm Cohan.
and this is the show about the best part about the toy collecting hobby, telling each other what you got.
hmm
And Cohan, I've got good news.
And that would be,
I bought toys today.
oh, excellent. Now, to be fair, I think we should clarify to our studio audience that we may not have bought them today, but we're revealing them today. Oh, is that too much
You're
behind the
just
curtain?
you're just gonna ruin the entire magic, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna break down that fourth wall and
Iron
pull the
Fist.
curtain back and be like, "That's not even a real wizard back there."
No,
Just ruin all the fun.
I know. I'm a terrible, terrible individual. I
Now I
prefer
have
to
to
take
go back
the
in.
like when Danhausen calls out Ethan Page when he posts his stuff, his toy hunts on Sunday and they're happening like on a Tuesday. Danhausen's like, but it's Tuesday. That's right. So we didn't necessarily buy toys today, but we bought toys.
Well, now I have to go back in and put quotes around the today.
You know,
So thanks for all that extra work.
well,
I'll tell you, you know what I did do today that involved toys?
no.
Is I spent most of my afternoon going through bins of my old toy collection from when I was a kid and doing a better job of sort of organizing and storing them. Like I got some little Ziploc bags to individually store all the figures because they were just in a bin. So I put them in there, put their like what accessories I had left in there with them, um, and they're took all darn day. You can still see some of it behind me that I had to move out of the way right before we started filming. Um, but it was a lot of fun, a lot more work than I was expecting. Um,
Yeah.
but it was also a little bittersweet because
I,
as I was sitting there and like I'd just gotten started maybe 20 minutes beforehand or something, and my wife comes in the room and like I'm just sitting on the floor with like two open bins and stuff everywhere, and she goes, "How is it possible that you have even more toys?" And that's not the bittersweet part. The bittersweet part is that helped me realize like how much stuff isn't there
oh
because
yeah.
I was mostly putting away like my old Toy Biz X-Men figures. Um, and I told her, I was like, "Oh, this is nothing. Like, if you look in this bin, you know what you won't see? Like, no G.I. Joes, no Ninja Turtles, no He Man.
hmm
Um, like, I found a wheel to a crash test dummy car that I had, which was great because like they were the same scale as GI Joes, I believe, so they could just slot right in there and crash and stuff. Don't have the car, have one tire, which oddly feels appropriate for crash test dummies.
Well, and
Um,
I would agree with you. I mean, I mean, again, besides the shelf of Joe's behind me, which the majority of them are the ones I had when I was a kid, and as we talked, I think last time, I'm in replacement mode, buying mine are well loved, well played with, bad joints, paint coming off. Same with this shelf over here of Star Wars action figures. Those are mostly mine from when I had it was as a kid. But like you, no Transformers, Masters of the Universe, Ninja Turtles, Mask. I mean, there. Obviously, had we hindsight 2020 when we were 9, 10, 11, 12, we would have never opened the toys to begin with or ever played with them. But I think that's part of the fun now is the hunt. And yeah, I'm not a big Masters. I'm not going to collect Masters of the Universe, even though I played with them as a kid. Um, but to like when we've gone to a couple toy shows or whatever and seen some of those figures. Like I would go like I don't know, for some stupid reason, my favorite was always a Ram Man. I might pick up a Ram Man just to add to the miscellaneous shelf of stuff, right? But that would be it. But I enjoyed playing with them as a kid, but it's not something I was so deep into it like Star Wars and Joe's.
I mean, um, I was especially crazy about my Ninja Turtles and He-Man collections. Um,
But see, at that time,
and
they
I,
weren't your
and
collections; they were just your toys.
yes, I did not refer to them as a collection at the time. I still would have opened them, even hindsight being what it was. I just would not have agreed to let them be shuffled off to the abyss of the church rummage sale.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, especially when I was about 7, with the amount of allowance I would get, it was the perfect amount of money to be able to get a Ninja Turtle action figure and a comic book, because it was, you know, late 80s, early 90s, and that's how inexpensive things were.
Mm-hmm.
If you got $7, you could buy a Ninja Turtle and an X-Men comic and be a perfectly happy little 7-year-old. But those are all gone. Like there's not even a like, oh look, I found Splinter's staff randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was
I
the
know.
other interesting thing.
I was gonna say I
Go
never
ahead.
collected. I never collected the turtles, but I did have the four, and I had Splinter, and I don't remember who they went to, how I got rid of them, and I even had some the superpower action figures. I remember, I remember I had Aquaman and Batman, and even though I was never a DC guy, but I had those, and I didn't have a bunch, but I think they got. I think I sold those at a garage sale, one year, and this was when I was still probably like in my late teens.
And I really liked my He-Man collection. One of my earliest memories is getting my He-Man action figure when I was 3 years old. I think the thing that I really liked about it, my brother didn't play with He-Man toys. Like my brother played with GI Joes, brother played with Star Wars. Um, so like those were things we would have to share and like compromise on who gets to play with what. But he didn't play with He-Man, so that was all my stuff.
Well, and that's the thing. Of all the toys I got rid of, even some random stuff we could talk about at some other time. Those things back there, man. Those Joes. That was first it was those guys. It was Star Wars. It was Star Wars Forever, and then those came out, and I just headlong into GI Joe. The amount of vehicles I had, and I remember years and years ago, um, my buddy, my best friend, his son was of the age, and I still had all the vehicles at one point. And I was like, they sat in the garage, they were covered in stuff, and I said, I want to give these to Austin. So he's like, that's cool. I gave him the vehicles, I didn't give him the figures. Um, and apparently when they got them back, they had sat there so long, like they were in boxes and bags. So like there was like, they were covered in mouse poop and pee, and there was nesting stuff. He's like, we had to throw them
Lovely.
all away. I'm like, well, I'm glad that you did that. And because if it were me, I don't know if I would have thrown them away. I may have spent hours just cleaning them and rinsing them off and doing whatever. But I get it. So it wasn't me that put them in the trash, but deservedly so, considering their condition. Not that they were in bad condition because they were beat up, but after having animals use them for their facilities.
So another thing that was interesting going through my old figures, because it was very cool to like match up um, some figures with all their accessories and just be like, oh wow, I can't believe I have like everything that goes with this one. Like I have a War Machine who has every single piece of armor still.
Oh,
Um, but then going through as I got closer and closer to the end and seeing sort of what was left over. Um, do you remember in the Toy Biz X-Men line how just for no reason they just like throw some guns in there? Like here's Wolverine and like here's his Uzi. the Uzi that Wolverine uses.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's Magneto's like little hand blaster. Magneto, guy who uses a lot of guns. Um, I would just have a couple of random accessories that didn't match up with anybody. And of course, there had been a couple of times along the way where I'd have to like Google a figure to see what all they came with because it's been a while. Um, but I'd have just a couple of leftover guns, and I'd have to sit there for a little while. Um, and it's one thing to like look up the figure itself, but it's another to like what does this gun go to? So you can't
I,
Google that. It's a you can try. It's a lot more difficult. Um, so I had to sit there for a little bit, and eventually, like these stories that would come back to me, it was like, oh, this gun went to the one Wolverine that I don't have anymore because like my brother completely broke it. So the figure has been gone for like 25 years, but the gun's still here for some strange reason. Um, so weirdly enough, I had a lot of Wolverine accessories, but no Wolverines. I had some Wolverines, but I should have like two more at least by my count.
well, again, and you remember the first shelf I had these guys on that white plastic thing before they came here.
Mm-hmm.
Before I got these details from IKEA. I remember there's a website. I think it's yojo.com. Um, it's saved in my favorites. I'd have to look it up. But they have a weapons page where you can click on the color. Like if you click black gun handgun, they bring up every produced gun of that color, and there's a picture of it, and it tells you who that belonged to, and if they reused it for multiple characters, that was there. Now some of these guys I knew immediately their weapons, but then you got to some of the more common stuff. It's like I don't remember whose gun this is, and I remember spending hours just I'd have the gun in my hand, I'd click on the picture, and then you have to start matching. Does it have the notch here? That notch isn't there, so does it belong to Snake Eyes? It belongs to this guy or whomever else. But yeah, yeah, hours. So I know, yeah, and it was. But again, like it's that bittersweet moment. You're like, this is so cool, but my God, there's so and I couldn't believe. Like I remember when I thought I knew I had their bag of weapons because at first I just had the figures up. And I was like, I know I have their weapons, and it was at the time my wife and I had separated, and I thought they were in the basement still, and I went down and scoured the basement. It's like, nope. And then I still had all these bins full of Star Wars figures. Well, then I realized all those bins were full of more than just Star Wars figures, and there was this. I'll never forget it. It was this blue bag from the Gap with drawstrings on it. It was a blue plastic bag, and in that set just the thousands of pieces of weaponry and hoses and backpacks and you name it. And I had almost everything for everybody. Now I'm missing a few things here and there, but for the most part, I've got almost everybody complete.
Hoses are one of the things that I seem to have had a hard time keeping track of. Like I had a death lock where I still have the gun, but I don't have the hose it was attached to. I've got an Apocalypse where I still have all of his different arms that you can switch out, but I don't have the weird little hoses that connect to his arms for some reason.
It's because we were kids. We didn't care about hoses. You didn't need a hose. Why does this gun need a hose to attach to a backpack? Screw that.
And especially if you're actually playing with it, like the first thing that's going to go is the hose because like you're going to move Apocalypse's arm and the thing's going to pop off.
Yep. And you get frustrated and you just throw it to the side.
I'm very proud. One of the figures that I bagged up was my Kinner um, Punisher figure. It was one of the ones that I think had like the backpack that would make sounds. I don't have the backpack anymore. I just have the Punisher um, and and his Uzi, which is different from Wolverine's. Um, and I'm proud and amazed that I still have that figure because when I was a child, I lost it for years. Might have been 2 years, might have been 5 years, but it just disappeared for the longest time. But I would always just vaguely remember that I did have a Punisher. Um, and one day, just on a whim, like I just got this bolt of inspiration that I thought I knew where it might be. And I went and checked, and lo and behold, there the Punisher had been this entire time. Would you like to guess what this location was?
Oh man, I was just trying to think. Like
Did you guess a hole in the yard out in the front of my house? Because that's where it was.
that's fantastic.
A hole in the ground, in the front yard, like right in front of like the post for the street lamp.
Wow, and it stayed there.
It's-
See, unfortunately,
he's not going to climb out. Like,
well, but still, like rain, something washing it away. But unfortunately, my original ripcord, who I had to replace because
R.I.P. Cord.
yeah, all right, exactly, R.I.P. cord because I was out in the yard playing and scooped them all up and went inside and stepdad was mowing the lawn and heard chang chang boom, and then I just remember he's like, "This might belong to you." And it was just his back. It was just Ripcord's back. The rest of it, I don't know what happened to him, but it was strewn everywhere. I was like, "Oh, he met an untimely end." And there was a time I remember playing in the snow, and it was when I first got snow job. I'll never forget. I was so excited, like to play in the snow, and I put his skis on, and I did this whole scenario outside where the Sky Striker had crashed in the snow, and Snow Job had written "help" with his skis, and I was doing all this stuff, and again, scoop everybody up, and at one point they got buried by an avalanche, and I thought I collected everybody, and I just remember going, like playing a couple days later, going, "Oh, I'm missing somebody. Oh no!" And it had to be Snow Job, and I was like, "Where's Snow Job?" Come the spring, I found Snow Job again. Once everything had melted, and but there he was, safe and sound, a little rusty, but he was good. He was good to go.
Nice. It's like when I was still fairly young, um, living a little kid's dream by taking my toys out and playing down by the creek, and just having a good old X-Men battle down by the water when we were out visiting my grandparents. But I made the mistake of like actually playing in some of the water, and I turned my back to deal with some other figures. And when I looked back, my poor little Nightcrawler figure was no longer on the rock he had been when I first looked away. And that's why I do not have, other than the one that's hanging on the wall, I do not have the first line Nightcrawler that I did when I was a kid anymore. Because he floated down somewhere into the middle of Pennsylvania.
We all float down here.
He just bamfed away. It was even better because because that Nightcrawler is a great figure. Because Nightcrawler is just made to be a cool action figure. So I was bereft when I saw he was gone, and immediately broke into sobs. And it was at this moment that my mother had chosen to come check on me because I'd been outside for a while. And she just walks up, and I'm standing there on the side of the creek, bawling my eyes out.
Nightcrawler.
And she's like, "What happened? Are you hurt? Are you okay?" Like, "Nightcrawler's gone." She's like, "Oh, I thought it was an emergency." Okay.
It is, Mom. You don't understand. How many of those old Toy Biz X-Men did I give to you? Do you remember?
Of the ones that are behind me,
Mm-hmm.
that one, that one, that one, and that one.
That was it. I thought
Of
I
the
gave you
ones
the whole
behind
book.
me,
Oh, where are the others? Oh no, what
in
did you
front
give
of
me?
me.
Okay, yeah, you have to. John and I have been friends for a number of years, and there was a time where I was weeding out my collection because at the time I wasn't even collecting toys, and they were just sitting in a box in my basement. And I remember buying them from my comic book guy, and I had always kept them in the packages because at that time I wasn't going to open them. And I remember the most expensive one I bought at the time was Iceman, the translucent Iceman, and he was $20. That's how much I had to pay. And at the time I was like, whoa, that's expensive, you know. But then I remember John and a couple of our friends. We were in my basement. I think we just got done role playing or something, and we were talking, and I was like, they're sitting in a black box collecting dust. I knew John was a huge X Men fan, so I was like, just here, take them. You know, I could kick myself in the butt now, but again, what always makes me happy. So I knew they were going to somebody who was going to appreciate them, and that was always the thing. That's why I never had. I did that. I actually had the first run of Spawn up until like issue. I want to say till like issue 75 or give or take. It's in that area. And my other friends, my buddies who I met in college, um, I remember my folks were gone and I had to watch the house, and they came. They came down for a D&D session, and I was again showing them my collections of stuff of my comics. I mostly comics at the time and my GI Joe figures. And my buddy Lino just loved Spawn, and I had that original run of Spawn up until and I remember buying that. I think issue number 4, like it was like the first appearance of Violator, and it was worth some money. And I was like, dude, take them. He's like, what? I'm like, take them. I'm done collecting Spawn. I here, just take them. And because again, it's like I've told you, there are boxes that in this closet directly across from me. There are boxes of X-Men comics here with your name on them, and they are yours. They are free of charge. They are yours. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get anything for them, but I know in our recent talkings how you lost your collection, and how much you just love those storylines. And unfortunately, I'm not an X Factor or an X Force guy. It's mostly X Men and Uncanny X Men. But there are boxes in there. I will just load into your car for you. They're
I'll,
I just don't have
I'll
them.
trade you a big hug for him.
There you go. That's I just that's what I think is the fun about collecting as well. Um, Again, like I know where I could send some of this stuff if I ever get bored of it, or am not looking for a the GI Joes. No one's getting the GI Joes, so those are mine until I die, or until I become homeless and I have to sell them to buy food. Um, but I just know that again to give them to somebody who would appreciate them. It's not about the money. It's about the like the nostalgia. Like we started this excuse me. Like we started this whole conversation about, like when I hand you that box of X-Men comics, and you see those covers you put together again to form the big, when they did X-Men Blue and Gold, how great would that be? Or first appearance of Gambit I've got, and so
If I ever get my run of X Force back, I'm probably gonna hang out with that one. But
yeah. Well, that's like that's like my Iron Fist books. A, nobody wants them anyway. B, those are mine. Once again, little nod to Daniel Rand, right there. He's my favorite, and
well, we're almost half an hour into this, and we haven't talked about toys we bought, so we probably should.
all right, I should probably go first because you have a mountain.
I'm only going to talk about. I'll say two toys today, but you should still go first.
Okay, so I went to Toy High last weekend, as I showed on last week's episode of all the ridiculousness I bought. And then I think it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday or Wednesday this past week, and I was going out. Stupid story. I was looking for new shorts. A lot of my shorts are fraying and they're worn well. The problem is, for either every man in Northeast Ohio wears my pant size, or they don't make them in my pant size. So I was striking out horribly on shorts. And then my daughter and I, for Father's Day, we had gone to and seen Guardians 3, and which was just great. And then, based on what you did last week, buying all those Guardians figures, I was like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to go get those Guardians figures. So I went to my local Target, and nothing, nothing, zero a Guardian figure, all gone. And the Target and Walmart up here by me are just awful. I mean, I walk down the aisles hoping for something. It's nothing. It, I don't understand how big box stores like that can have nothing, or like the peg warming Lady J that's been there for over a year now. It's just awful. Or it's those and I'm going to say it, it's those idiots that go to the store and scoop up every figure and go and resell it. it that's not collecting. That's hoarding and
There's
making money.
Speaking of the Lady J, there's a Meyer near me that has a Marvel Legends cannonball, like still keeping that peg warm.
Isn't it the one you ordered?
Yeah, like I have one
Yeah.
because which I might have bought there because they probably had more than one. Um, but I can double check. I'm pretty sure that line that Cannonball was in came out in like 2017,
Oh wow.
maybe 2019. I don't know. Who knows what time is anymore? Um, but it's been there forever.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I ended up going to the comic book store, even not looking for comics, because I just got that figure itch. I just and I'd gone to Target, and I got a Target, and I'd gone to Walmart, and nothing. And I was like, well, let me go to the comic store for giggles. I get a lot of my GI Joe classifieds there. I get some Marvel Legends there, and just walking in the store and nothing that I wanted, and I was just digging through some random figures, and I happened to spot this, and this is something from my childhood. I didn't even know they made these. And when I saw it, I was like, oh no. And I really like it, and I really dig it, and I'm deciding whether I'm going to open it or not. But this, I can't remember when the movie came out. I should have looked it up beforehand. Um, but these figures came out in 2020, so they're not that old. And they only produced three, and it's the three robots from the film. It's the film The Black Hole. You ever see it, John?
I'm gonna say no.
It,
I'm gonna
it's
get it confused with the Black Cauldron,
yeah,
but I
totally
don't
different.
think I. Yeah,
One's medieval, one's space. It might be on Disney Plus because it was a Disney film. Um, but it had the two robots, Vincent, who's at top, and then old Bob, who's down here. And I loved old Bob. He was just great. I mean, you could just, I don't, you could tell like Vincent's all pristine and good, and old Bob right there is all beat up and just broken, and I just loved him. And when I saw it, you talked about we were talking how we started this thing, just nostalgia hit, and I was like, oh no, and like I said, I wasn't even sure I was going to buy these, wasn't even looking for them, and then I saw them, and like the only one the other one is on the back here is Maximilian. He was like the evil robot. Um, they had him too, so I may pick him up just to complete the set because it's only three. um, and just good looking figures. It punched me in the gut. Like I said, when I picked it up, like I said, I didn't even know they made these, and just was stunned. And I remember I loved the movie as a kid, and just to see them again, right there. So that's the only toys I bought after I didn't need to buy any more after my haul from Toy Hio. But these two just hit me. and I was like, I want them, and they were just and the box. I might end up opening it because the box is pretty beat up. I mean, again, it is 3 years old now at this time. Um, it's not horribly beat up, but I didn't know if I wanted to open them or not. Just because they look so good displayed this way, and at the time right now I don't have really much space to display much more, but just loved them, just loved them when I saw them. So that was my one thing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking up Black Hole, and it doesn't ring a bell, but boy, does it look bad.
Oh, it's so Ernest Borgnine. Oh, who plays the villain? Max von Sydow.
No, that doesn't sound right.
Um,
There is someone
uh,
in it named like Maximilian.
no, no,
There's Maximilian Schell,
Maximilian Schell. I think he plays the evil doctor.
Dr.
Anthony
Hans. I
Anthony
do enjoy me some Ernest Borgnine.
Anthony Perkins. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember who plays the main protagonist of the hero group. Oh, I can see his face. I
Is
think he's
that
in
Captain
Tremors.
Dan?
Yes,
That's Robert Forster.
Robert Forster. Who's his lieutenant?
Joseph Bottoms.
Hmm. And then there's a female. She's like the doctor.
Is the
She's actually got a psychic connection with Vincent the robot.
played by Yvette Mimieux.
Hmm. And then Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins and Ernest Borgnine and Maximilian Schnell are probably the big three in that. Robert Forster right behind them. I don't know who did the voices of the robots, Vincent and Old Bob. Old
I'm
Bob, I
checking to
think.
see. I was checking to see if this movie was ever used on Mystery Science Theater 3000 because it looks like it would be perfect for it.
I can the theme song. There's this great Indiana Jones esque scene where meteors are hitting the ship, and they're running across a bridge, and this gigantic meteor fireball is rolling towards them as they have to run across the way. Dude, watch it. It might be cheesy as all get out. Watch it if you have the opportunity to. I may have to dig it up tomorrow and give it a go again because it's been decades since I've seen it, but I just remember loving it as a kid.
It's a Disney movie, so I bet Mystery Science Theater never did it.
Probably
But
not.
good news, it's on Disney Plus.
Watch it. Do you have Disney Plus?
Yeah,
No.
Disney Plus. They also have the Black Cauldron. Last week, maybe a week before that, had an itch, and it's on Amazon Prime. So I watched most of it. I did a little scrubbing through, but I went back and watched a terrible movie from my youth that I just adore, The Beastmaster,
Oh, very good.
and it's very bad, but it's
It
very
is.
good.
Did you get Kodo and Poto?
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
And
you
it's
got them.
just, oh no, I don't. I mean, they were in the movie still. It hasn't
Yes.
changed. Um, but no, that's.
And
I mean, that movie is the reason I like ferrets. Um, and the panther that is totally a tiger that they painted black or something.
I don't think it's supposed to be a panther. I think it's supposed to be a black tiger. Roo,
Mm.
roo. And
It
then
has
he'd go, yeah! The damn eagle, falcon.
it's so bad.
It's so god awful.
It's like if we got a camera and tried to make the Lord of the Rings. Like that's the quality, and it's so wonderful. But it also has
Tanya Roberts.
the dude who played the dad in Coming to America.
James Earl Jones?
No, not that
Oh,
one.
no. James. Yeah. Amos.
John Amos.
John Amos. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And
He's got like a
it's
thong
so
on.
yeah, dressed in just straight He-Man outfit of just like
Yep.
loincloth and walking stick.
Yep.
And then a couple years after that, he's owner manager of McDowell's.
We
So
have the golden ox. They have the golden oxes.
it's such a there's a certain there's a part of me that loves these terrible 80s fantasy movies.
And that's what
Um,
it is. It's so 80s.
but there's like I love is it Clash of the Champions?
Clash of the
Clash of the
Titans.
Titans. The 80s version, which came out like either like right before or right after Star Wars.
Yeah, Harry
Um,
Hamlin is Perseus. Um,
and it's Maggie Smith is in it.
Maggie Smith. I can't remember Zeus. Zeus is oh God, he's a huge
Isn't it
actor.
like isn't it like
Laurence Olivier.
Laurence Olivier? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's rough. But
Burgess Meredith.
like it's really charming
Oh yeah.
because there's just something about these terrible like 80s fantasy like Conan ripoffs like Beastmaster that like they're really trying to make something nice. They're not, but like they really want to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a certain charm to it. Like when you watch the Clash of the Titan remakes that came out like 10 years ago or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, like that's what it's missing. Like
Right.
those look cool, but there's no heart to them. They don't have
They
the charm of just
because
like
they
we
went
made
they
something that looks good, but like don't look at it too hard or the duct tape will fall off and
because they went for the spectacle. Like their more recent remakes, they go for the spectacle, the CGI, the big moments, release the Kraken, whatever the case may be. Where again, that technology was not around. And so, even though I think they were probably trying to make a serious movie, like with the Clash of the Titans, they had to do it a whole different way. Like when the Kraken is released, or Bubo the Owl, which was my favorite character in that whole that movie.
oh, it's
Um,
fantastic.
I think you're right. There's something missing where the actors are playing it serious, like playing the roles seriously, but the movie knows what it is, right? It knows it's telling a, a Greek myth, intertwining several Greek myths, right? Um, and just you're right. There's a heart to it. There's a
Yeah,
sincerity to it.
it's great. Medusa's cool. Anyway, I have no transition out of that because my toys have nothing to do with any of that.
All right, well,
So
then we're right on track.
tough. Yeah. Um, I I took the easy way out this week, and I didn't go out and get toys. I made them come to me.
Shout out to
So I
Big Bang
ordered a
Furniture,
couple things. Yeah. And
which your
this isn't
sale
even
still has not hit. By the way,
what what
that Rogue,
what about
the
it?
Rogue, you were like, it's going to be on sale. I haven't seen it on sale, but anyway.
No, that's your problem. So I haven't even opened this yet. So we're getting the grand reveal. And there's a couple things in here, but I'm not going to talk about. Probably shouldn't talk over that. It's real rowdy. There's a couple things in here, but I'm not going to talk about all of them. Just going to talk about one or two. But I might have to dig. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that.
Yeah.
Get these out of here. First guy I want to talk about is this one. I got a Scare Glow. Scare Glow.
Who was that?
Scare Glow is this beautiful Masters of the Universe villain who I did not know about back in the day. I didn't have an original Scare Glow, which the next time we get together for a show, let's go around and look at, because PowerCon is coming up. They're going to have a lot of Masters of the Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you end up coming to that, let's go around and look at some of the like original Scareglow figures and just be amazed at how stinking expensive they are. Because their prices are wild now. But this Scareglow is just a gorgeous figure. Look at that head. Like this villain is so much more interesting to me than like Skeletor.
How?
He looks so much more intimidating.
But I think we're back to the excuse me. We're back to the discussion we just had.
I'll edit all that out. Don't worry.
That's all right. We're back
Go
to
on.
the discussion we just had. Skeletor has heart.
Yes, but Skeletor has always had sort of a bumbling quality to him.
Yes.
But especially if you watch the Revelations series, Scareglow is frightening. And I know there's a lot of similarities. He wears purple, skull for a head, like staff for a weapon. There's lots of similarities to Skeletor there.
So this is the Serpentor of the He-Man universe.
No, I think that would be King Hiss.
Okay.
Who don't get me started on King Hiss. We're not here for him today. He'll get his own episode. But I didn't grow up with Scareglow, so I don't have a whole heck of a lot of nostalgia for him, but loved him in this series, and I think he's just an awesome looking figure. And I don't know if you know about me. I don't know if you know this about me, because where I sit on camera is usually right in front of all my Skeleton Warrior figures that hang up behind me. But skeletons are awesome. Love mine. But as far as like figures go, or as like a fantasy character, or as a supernatural villain, skeletons are great. So much better than zombies, both as an opponent or if you're a necromancer. And I just think this is a great looking figure. And since he is part of the line that has been out for quite a while, he's pretty cheap these days. So I finally made the jump to pick him up, and I'm going to enjoy popping him out of this box and putting him up on the shelf. Like, he's just got a very cool look. And the thing I like about him is he's got a goofy name. Scareglow is a silly name. Like, he is a very scary opponent. But you can't have scare in your name and be scary.
You can't have glow in your name and be scary.
And that's what I love about it. Like his
name.
Wait,
let me interrupt real quick. The way you
Go
have
ahead.
him right now, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but right by the bottom is his picture, and it says John. So it looks like his name is John. This is our evil opponent, John.
And I love they describe him as evil ghost of Skeletor. I don't know what that means.
He's the ghost of Skeletor. It says it in the name.
But he's not Skeletor's ghost. But like,
why not?
I don't know. Because Skeletor's not like Skeletor's still Skeletor. But
if Skeletor's dead, that could be his ghost.
But it's not. He's separate. Anyway, we don't have time for this. Skeleton's great. What I love about it is his name is sort of breaking the dopey naming conventions of He-Man characters. Because it's
He-Man, Merman, Beastman, Man-at-Arms,
Ram-Man, Skeletor. It's just like the thing they are, and then we mess with the suffix a little bit. Skeleton, no, Skeletor. And this one is just like, he's not like Frightenor or something. He's Scareglow.
He's
And
scared.
I think that's a brilliant design like decision.
Excuse me.
I'll wait till you're done dying to continue.
Yeah.
I think it's a great design decision because Skeletor is, like I said, he's a little goofy as much as we love him. Like he's sort of bumbling, and that's sort of his charm. This could be a character that is too frightening for a children's TV show. So I think you have to name him Scareglow in order to like make sure that doesn't happen. So Scareglow's great. I'm gonna love having him on my shelf. And I got one more. Got one more to talk about.
Stinkor. Should have seen it coming.
Yeah. You want to talk about good design ideas? Let's talk about Stinkor. Stinkor was a figure that I did have growing up, and he was awesome. If you remember the special feature of the original Stinkor action figure.
Yes. He smelled like a skunk.
Yeah. I don't think this one does. They probably don't do that anymore because they probably made that smell with like lead and asbestos or something. Who knows? Just like the original Scareglow would glow in the dark, the original Stinkor would stink in the dark. Now he does follow the proper naming conventions. He follows the proper naming conventions of just putting "or" at the end of a name, Skeletor, Stinkor. But I love this because it is a grown up version of the old figure. Because I could get a vintage Stinkor figure for like not a terrible price. I don't think they're the most in demand from the original line, as much as I love them. But I went with this one. It does help a little in the Revelations series. Do you know who voices Stinkor?
No.
The show was written by Kevin Smith, so he got Jason Mewes to voice Stinkor.
Oh no.
And I adore Stinkor because he's one of the weirdest looking characters. I know he's a skunk and all. That's great. But with his sort of furry black and white design, like that gives you so many options for like what you should dress him in. And for some reason they're like, okay, let's go with red for like his boots and stuff. I'm like, okay, well, he's a He-Man character, so he needs a big bulky breastplate for some reason. Should that also be red? No. Let's go with like a pale orange for that. Something that'll bring the whole outfit together and really complement his whole look. And then we'll give him a big blue shield as well. All these colors are just lining right up on the color pie, and it's going to look great. So I love Stinkor because he looks amazing. I don't know how you think that's a skunk's face, but
okay,
whatever.
A polecat.
But just his color combination is ridiculous, and it's not necessarily great, but somehow making him, when you're making a figure that's going to stink, then giving him a visual design that like just does not seem to click with itself is pretty good. I'm not saying his look stinks, but they sure tried to get it to match. So I'm real happy to have a Stinkor. And he's gonna go right on up there, right next to Scareglow.
Now, besides He-Man and Battlecat, you don't have any other heroes, do you?
No, but that was sort of the case growing up, because I had the Battle Armor He-Man, Prince Adam, and the Sorceress, King Randor, and I think the only other good guys I had were Mechanic and Cyclone.
Really?
Yeah, I did not have a lot of like the traditional good guys. Like, didn't have a Ram Man or a Fista guy or whatever his name was,
Fisto.
or Stratus, or the other one.
Man at Arms.
Well, that one, yes, but that's not the one I was trying to think of. But yeah, I didn't have a Man at Arms or a Tila, so I had a lot of bad guys that He Man sort of had to take out by himself or with the help of Mechanic. Didn't have a the Roboto. Yeah, that's
Good
why
stuff.
I'm much more attached to, like, I had a lot of Snake Men, King Hiss. I have a lot of endearment for that one. Had Too Bad, had the original Too Bad, which is why I have the new Too Bad up
I
there.
was gonna say, yeah, you got another one. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
the villains are outweighing the heroes here.
yeah, and that's a beauty. The villains have always outweighed the heroes. Like, I had a lot more Cobra than I had GI Joe.
See, I'm
Um,
such I'm such a baby face. I mean, not that I mean, I have the Cobras, but again, I was never a troop builder as a kid either. I had one Cobra suit troop, right? I
oh
didn't
yeah,
not like nowadays when you see people buy 20 of one figure so they could troop build. I'm like, I
no
want to
one does that.
spend yeah, I want to spend that $20 on those other 19 you bought on other different figures.
Oh yeah,
I don't want to.
one Techno Viper, one Moto Viper, one Alley Viper,
That's all you need.
one Alley Viper of a different color, one Alley Viper of another different color.
Yeah. But yeah, but I think I like the good guys more because they were individuals. They had their own personalities. You could do, and not that the main bad guys weren't, your Cobra Commander, your Destro, whomever, but other than that, they were the nameless faces, and I, as a kid you don't even think about that, right? But I did like the fact that each Joe had their own file card, their own name, their own specialty, who they were, what they did, what they loved, and again, the cartoon helped that too. What the hell was the guy's name on He Man? And it may have been the other guy you were thinking of. He was supposed to be a good guy, but he was ended up being like neutral, and he was like a space cop, and he had like a white
Oh
leotard.
God,
I think it begins with a Z. I think his name begins with a Z.
was it the? It wasn't the cowboy one, was it?
No, 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 no. Oh, he had like it was white. He had red and I think a red and gray type helmet type thing. Like the eye holes were like I think black. I really think it began with a Z for some reason, but I could be wrong. Now, you shouldn't look it up now. We'll have to come back with that or leave
Oh
it.
no, we're finding it now.
Leave it in the comments below.
Are you thinking Zodak?
Yes, is that what he looks like? He's got the white. Yep, that's exactly who I was thinking of.
But no, I was not thinking of Zodak.
Oh,
Um, so that's all I got
that's not all you
for
got. Oh.
today.
I said that
That's
is
all
not
I.
all you got. Don't lie.
Yeah, that's all I got. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, can I go on our new segment of Cohan Rants?
Oh sure.
So I have my detop shells, which I enjoy, and I have the little tiers. You know, well, you can't see very well, but my wrestlers I had to reorganize because they didn't fit. So I took the little tier shelf and I turned it sideways so I can cram them all on there. But my Marvel shelf has now become a problem, and it's because one of them, oh, somebody else went down. No, I missed her. One of them, or a couple of them, I stand precariously, and they work. And like I always test them out before I stand them up. I take my little She Hulk and I put her on the platform here. Like I mean, she's standing right now. Like you can't hold on. No, I'm gonna knock her down. But oh, there she goes. Therein lies my problem. Like I'll test them out. I'll be like, will they stand in this position? And boom, she's standing just fine. And I'll do that with this group of figures. But this group of figures, more than any, likes to randomly one goes down and they take the rest with them. I have to keep resetting these shelves, and I've tried to use the fun tack. That doesn't work either because I don't know how much you use, John, on yours if you do use it, but I realize that like when you do it, like if they're back heavy, they start they just start kind of leaning back and they look stupid. So I've just been setting them up, and all of a sudden this one shelf, ever since I've rearranged it, somebody's falling down every other day, and I got to keep going in and keep fixing them. And it's like, and I test them out, they stand nicely. I mean, again, like this She-Hulk here. I mean, she's standing good. It didn't take very long. But yet, this one shelf has become the bane of my existence of getting them to stand in place and not fall down and knock each other over. That and these original figures, these I don't know if they're Marvel Legends or not, but again, man, talk about over articulation. I don't need toes that articulate. Why does Iron Fist toe have to go like that? There's no sense. No sense for that. Over articulation. Sorry. Cohan rant complete. Good thing you were opening toys while I was talking. Thanks for paying attention, like our studio audience.
I agree. No, you know what I use?
No.
Mostly because when I went out to look for it, I couldn't find any poster tack at the time. But what I could find was a big roll of this double-sided tape,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like, I don't know if you can see it, but it is thick double-sided tape. Like it is not just sort of Scotch tape. So I'll just hack off a little foot-sized like piece of that for figures that need some balance and stick them on under there. And like sometimes it has the same problem, um, that they'll be rooted on that one foot, but like still sort of tilt.
Tilting is
But
fine. It's really,
I just accept that as part of the game.
yeah, I don't know. And it makes me because then I got to go in. I got to reset everybody, then make sure I don't knock anybody else down. And it's like, why? What happened? What like? And I don't even either. I'm wondering if like again because like in the apartment I live in, if somebody slams a door loud enough, I normally don't hear it anyway. Does it shake the foundation? Because again, like, or is it the things themselves? Because again, all these figures are almost immediately standing like I've just put four, three. That one's off. There's three. I've got four. I got four figures standing here, almost no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But when and I always test them out ahead of time. But I'm wondering if it's the tiered shelves because like again
I mean, probably they're not super sturdy.
like oh you can't see them but I mean I've got four figures I just stood like that but no the shelves are sturdy. I'm just wondering if it's because they're too sleek.
Yeah, like
um
they're not. I mean, they're good. I mean, I think we use the same things. Um, but like, I don't know if they're going to be like as solid and as level as like, they're not going to be as solid and level as Stinkor standing on my desk here.
right, that's
They're just not. So,
yeah because like again I
they're
put these four guys up like that in there. It's going to take me another 20 minutes to get them. I would have to stand up five guys. It's going to take me 20 minutes to do so. And then
yeah.
I'm sure
And
in 3 days I'll have to go ahead and change it.
but yeah, that's a good thing we could ask for advice on. If you have any tips on keeping your figures upright, especially when they're on risers on your shelves, put some tips in the comments.
And I've also found that even the stands that I have, even those aren't always the best. I find that even with the Joes, even though I bought stands that like are meant for them, the pegs are still a little thick, and I've heard about like squeezing them in, or like using a like a blade to trim some of it off. Um, but still, again, I had not this She-Hulk, the one that's actually still standing in that case. I had her on one for a bit, but again, she was like this, and that's fine. But again, I just put her down with ease like that. Will I be able to do it in there? We'll see.
Yeah.
This is a great She-Hulk figure too. I just recently found this one. It's like Savage She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And then and this is the one I picked up a couple weeks ago at Applejack's. I was telling you about it. This is, I mean, classic Jen Walters, and just
That's
the
very
smile
good.
on her face, and the hand. She's like, "Yeah, I'm She-Hulk." Hell yeah, you are, baby. Hell, look again, just like that. In there, not gonna happen.
I've had that plenty of times when I'm like getting a figure ready to go up on the shelf, and I'll be dealing with them down on sort of a surface that is at a usable level. I'm like, okay, they're stable. Like I can leave them there, and then you pick them up and set them on the thing, and it's just immediately tilt over
Yep,
to one side.
that's how I always try to do it. Like I do the same thing. Like I'll place her here and go, okay, hold on. Okay, she's stable. And then when I pick her up, I try to do it by just her head, thinking I'm not changing anything else, right? And so when I set her down in the case, just be like, there you go, Jen. Stay, good, good.
All right. Well, I'm clearly just going to go play with Stinkor some more. Um, so we should probably start wrapping up.
All right.
We found these toys today. Ruin all our fun. What do you think you're going to be hunting for next?
Good call. I'm going to be on hold. At least I say that. I'm going to be on hold for a little bit. I've got some other expenses I got to worry about, like putting a kid through college. Um, so I might be. I don't think I'm going to be hunting anything specific. Probably within the next month or so, um, unless some of the new classifieds come out. But I'm not sure those are due out anytime soon. Um, I mean, I want to
Plenty have
shipwreck them.
gone up for pre-orders recently,
Yeah,
but
I'm not pre-ordering. I and I'll tell you why I'm not, because my comic book guy, my action figure guy, Joe, just a great guy, and we actually had a frank discussion one morning when I was the only one in the store, and we were talking about it, and he was talking about you can order them, I can pre-order them get them for like 22 or 25, but of course he's got to mark them up, and he only marks them up to like 27 or 28. So he's not making that much on each figure, but then it's how much does he order? So I'm always going to go to Joe, and I'll pay the extra $3 or $4 unless it's something I'm desperately afraid that I wouldn't get my hands on. Like a Sergeant Slaughter, I thought I would never. I thought those would be sold out like mad. I end up having two now, but so nothing specific right now. I'm hunting for. Um, Everything's kind of on the back burner for a while. I spent a lot of toy hio, and I picked up this group. So if I get the itch, I might go to Joe's I'm sorry, Kid Force Collectibles, great store, Bury, Ohio. Um, I might go there, but right now back burner. And if you said PowerCon's August 11th, right?
yes, whatever that weekend is.
So depending on if when my kid is moving back into her dorm, I'll probably just save up until then, and maybe go splurge at PowerCon looking for that. Oh, by the way, if anybody knows, looking for that USS flag.
But tell us more about how you want to save and not spend a ridiculous amount of money on toys.
Well, that's why I save for a month. We're good. That would be like the 18 boxes you just got in.
It's just Stinkor.
And the
But
two
that's
Guardians.
I don't know what you're talking about. Um, that's actually pretty good because that goes along well with what I have in mind. Because speaking of terrible yet charming things that were made in the 80s, there's a Silverhawks line that Super 7 puts out.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a couple of Silverhawks when I was a kid. The show, oof, it's rough. The figures, pretty cool looking. Um, and I wouldn't mind, and this might be a purchase that I save maybe till like Christmas time to see if anything goes on sale. But I would love to get my hands on both the versions of Monstar,
Okay.
both his regular form and his big
Monster form.
juggernauty Silverhawk form. Because I had one of him, little, and I just out of all the sort of 80s cartoon villains, especially the ones that transform from like one monstrous form to another, like I think Monstar really takes the cake. Like I know Mumra is sort of the star of the show, um, but Monstar has such a good look. He's so both cool and intimidating, and be real happy to add both of those bad boys to the shelves one day. But especially the big version uh, is even more expensive than like a regular Super 7 figure.
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can get that. That might be a good holiday pickup.
Yeah, and again, I don't even like I said in August, I'm probably going to be just having a separate fund for said large aircraft carrier, um, and not again, I'm not going to jump out and get it right away. You know, there's lots of other things that needs to be taken care of. But you know, like I said, one day, I hope it will be mine. That is my holy grail. That is my holy grail of toys. And I just, I mean, I can envision it where it will be, what will
That's
happen.
it's not even the Grail of toys. It's the table they set the Grail on. Well, anything else? Anything else you want to hit on before we close up shop?
I don't think so. I just think again, if anybody's watching and listening, you know what to do on the YouTube. You hit that subscribe. Don't hit the bell. We're not notifying anybody. You know,
You
like us if you
can.
do. If you don't, we're okay with it. We're just having a good time talking about toys. And if you want to put in that chat comment the toys you bought today, even today, might be in quotes. Just thanks for hanging out with us. We're having a good time, just talking about toys.
All right. This has been another episode of I Bought Toys Today. Um, Crap. How did I close out the first one? I remember. Uh, we bought toys today. Who knows what we'll do tomorrow? Thanks for watching.
No, 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 sir. Come on.
What?
We added our names. It was something like I bought toys today, or we bought toys today. I'm John, or no, it was like, well, thanks for watching. I'm John. I'm Cohan, and we bought toys today, or something like that. That's how the first one
Okay.
ended.
Okay. Well, we'll roll it back.
All right, rolling it back.
Again, thanks for watching this episode. I've been John.
I'm Cohan, and we bought toys today.
Is that better?
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
that's good.